Hello, welcome everyone, and welcome back. If it's not your first time joining us, we're very happy today. I'm going to ask you to mute yourself if you're not speaking. Thank you very much. I'm very happy for this talk today. It's going to be a very process-focused one. We have quite a treat for you with 3 cities featured. As usual, or if you're new, please drop in the chat where you're joining from, because it's always useful for us to know that. Once again, this talk is available in multiple languages. We have English, we have Armenian, we have Georgian today. So feel free to tune in your preferred channel by clicking the globe icon at the bottom of your Zoom window. And I see there's there's 30 of you already today. So I will, without waiting longer, pass the mic to our moderator, Elina. Over to you.
Thanks so much, Darini, and warm welcome to this Urban Talks today. As mentioned, my name is Elina Järvelä. I'm a strategic designer and a regional project manager for Measures for Economic Growth at UNDP, and will be moderating this session today. Just a reminder, we have English, Armenian, and Georgian translation available today. So please select the right language channel by clicking the globe icon there down. And I think it's really a great timing for this session. It's Urban October. It's also the eve of the World Cities Day, and when we really should acknowledge the importance of cities for sustainable development. This week, we are also prepping and making final preparations for World Urban Forum, which is taking place next week in Cairo. So if any of you will be there, please come to say hello, and we will also link our sessions in the chat, so you can also register. Today is the final registration for the World Urban Forum. So today, we really wanted to pause and reflect on our urban transformation journeys in Europe and Central Asia region, and celebrate some of the achievements of the cities. We have 2 major regional programs for cities in this region, City Experiment Fund and Measures for Economic Growth. In these programs, for the past 4 years, we have been applying systems approach with cities for urban and local development. So this is really aligning well with UNDP's strategic shift from projects to portfolios, which allows not only to focus on sectoral challenges, but also tackle complex development challenges that people are really experiencing every day. And what is a better place than cities and towns to apply this approach? Cities are really dynamic systems. Sorry, if I could just ask you to mute your mics, thank you. So as mentioned, cities are really dynamic systems where people needs are not limiting into sectoral programs, but it's really about fulfilling decent living standards, have meaningful livelihood options, vibrancy in social and cultural life, well-being and security. So it all comes together to have better cities to live in. So we also wanted to have a methodology and to make sure that our support programs for cities really understand this connected nature of challenges in cities, but also acknowledge that cities are not static. They are vibrant, constantly changing systems, and that's why our methodologies should also adapt when needed, right? And the third aspect is that because cities are such complex, vibrant, and ever-evolving systems, there is always a level of uncertainty on what would happen and how the complex challenges should be tackled. Our approach should also allow learning, testing, and experimentation. So these 3 principles in mind, interconnectedness, dynamicity, and uncertainty, we have really built our urban transformation programs, and you will hear more about them today. First, we will have Yera, who is the lead architect and the designer for this urban transformation methodology at the Regional Hub of UNDP, who will give us a bit more detailed overview of the methodology and the processes. Then we will have Tico from UNDP Georgia, who is leading the Mayors for Economic Growth in Georgia, and then Nelly from UNDP Armenia, who is leading the City Experiment Fund in Armenia. And they will really take us through the portfolio journey with cities, because they are the ones who also applied this approach with the city, worked side by side with our city partners throughout this journey. They will share the results, learnings, and reflections from the ground. So before we kick off, let me just remind you, we have the chat. So you can, throughout the call, you can add your questions, thoughts, reflections in the chat. We are always interested to hear about other experiences and cases, so do not hesitate also to provide some interesting links to similar cases there. And we will have a bit time for Q&A also after the presentations. So that's about it. Let's kick off. Yara, floor is yours.
Thank you, Lina. I will share my screen and start the presentation. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Yes, super. So, hi, my name is Yara. As Lina have introduced today, I am working for the RBEG innovation team together with Elina and together with Tico, Nelly, and all of the innovation team here. Actually, we work together on the addressing urban complexities through learning portfolios in the last 4 years, I think, and counting, to address complexities and also challenges in the urban context. So I will briefly talk about what we have been doing from our RBEG innovation team, specifically on the urban transformation portfolio, and then what were the different processes, what were the different ways of doing it in different contexts. So just a snapshot. I think it's always interesting to look at the figures in the beginning. So from the RBEG innovation team point of view, we have actually engaged with more than 61% of the RBEG country offices with systems transformation portfolios. If you are following closely with us on UNDP innovation, we have been, I think, globally also applying many different ways of doing system transformation portfolios. And specifically for our context, we have actively actually then have a portfolio which has been implemented in the ground with 15 and more than 15 cities. And we have been doing a lot of training sessions. We have also a lot of capability building and also projects utilized in the sense of trying to understand how can we actually apply system thinking and also do distinctive portfolio services. Today, we're going to talk about urban transformation as the topic suggests, and as this urban talks, we have actually the case of urban transformation for Cities Experiment Fund under Slovak Transformation Fund, as well as the Mayors for Economic Growth, where we actually then apply the urban transformation framework where we have developed together, which is called Agora, which is then trying to understand the urban complexities through systems lens and also try to see what could be the possible entering points with the strategic kind of point of view, and also what could be the different ways, as Elina have mentioned, how can we actually enable dynamicism, like dynamic management, and also adaptability. So a lot of times that when we actually engage with urban cities, we start with identifying urban complexities and see how can we actually then develop them. Also, we have although today's call is not going to be addressed specifically on the Urban Learning Center, we do have network more than 400 cities, which is part of, and also so far we have been able to actually attract investments from EU and also Slovak Ministry of Finance to look at specific urban transformation with the total amount of $15 billion. So what's the problem? So in the context of Europe and Central Asia, there are so many different challenges that we could actually identify. Some of the key things that I could actually mention is actually the disparities in economic development, industrial decline, depopulation, and also there's a lot of challenges around inadequate infrastructure, outdated public services, environmental degradation, and loss of urban biodiversity, just to mention. So these are a few topics that has been overlapping over the years. And one of the key starting point for us actually to explore is how can we actually address those complex challenges with non-traditional point of view, which is actually then goes to the learning portfolio. So why portfolio? We actually then made a key argument of we want to actually provide systemic lens to complex challenges where we can actually unpack these problems with different paths or different levels of engagement, and how can we actually then do this hyper locally. So we will have Nelly and Tico will actually share the actual experiences on the ground, and also we wanted to see how can we actually not have set of interventions, not as talking separately, but actually can we build interconnected interventions that can be strategically put together to actually then create learning, and can we actually adapt as we actually see the changes over time. And we all understand there's a limitations around how can we actually do this in a project time frame, or how can we actually do this in a kind of rigid development program. That's why we actually wanted to introduce this iterative learning mechanism in the portfolio, and then how we actually develop the capabilities for country offices and municipalities to actually address those challenges. So how did we do it? So portfolio process. How did we start? First, we actually identify what could be the defining topic for the portfolio. So for example, as I've mentioned, there has been a lot of different challenges around the urban context, not to mention economic disparity, also depopulation, environmental degradation, and also inadequate infrastructure. It could be many different things, but we've asked the municipalities in all of the cases of the 15 municipalities that we work with, we have asked them, so what do you have in the city that you identify as complex, that is not easily solvable, that's something that you would like to address, but somehow that there is some complexity that is involved. So we actually then work together, all of the municipalities and with the country office, to identify what could be that potential topic that you could actually address and build the portfolios for. And then we identify strategic entry points. So you hear me a lot saying strategic entry points, learnings, and different options. This is the terms that we use that we actually then see. So where could we start? How can we actually see the changes in a time frame that will allow us to give us a learning within the time frame, and then evolve that thinking so that we can actually identify possible solutions. So as you can see, this is an iterative process where we actually have the option or project implementations where we could see what could be the seed, or what could be the pilot, what could be the testing experiments that we could actually build in the system or build in the city context to actually see, does this work? Does this work to actually address those complex challenges or not? Is it effective or is it not effective? So there goes that third part where we can actually then have that embedded learning. So all of our activities were intentionally designed to capture the learnings from them. And based on this learning, the actors, not only the municipality or not only the UNDP country office, we tried our best to actually incorporate different stakeholders in the system, not limited to private sectors, academia, NGOs, to actually see what does that really mean for us. Like, we capture these learnings, is this really giving us some more ideas or some clues to actually address those complex challenges? And we went through that iterative process with 15 cities. Yes, so we have a lot of interesting cases that we can share with. So these are the cases where we have 15 cities across, as you can see. Green ones are from Mayors for Economic Growth, and blue ones are from the City Experiment Fund. So as you can see, the topics are very diverse. There's a reason why. That the topics are very diverse, because we, as I mentioned, we actually let the UNDP country office or the municipalities, in the case of M4EG, to actually select their complex challenges and then actually see how we can address them through the systems portfolio. So this is a quick snapshot. Just to give you a little bit of also background information on Slovak Transformation Fund. You hear me talk about Slovak Transformation Fund and also Mayors for Economic Growth iteratively. So Slovak Transformation was funded by Ministry of Slovak, where we have the City Experiment Fund, where we actually then facilitate this urban development using the portfolio approach. with the UNDP country offices. So for the City Experiment Fund, where we have Nelly today from Armenia, who will talk about the case of Stepanovan, this is a unique case where we actually work with the UNDP country office to look at local development with using the systems thinking portfolio. So actually, the case is very unique in a way that we have applied different ways of doing it. There's social listening, which is community listening component, and also how can we actually enable really bottom-up participatory approach from the communities to think about the population issue. Moving on, we have also Mayors for Economic Growth, which is actually the mayor main initiative that is funded by EU. There it has a very wide network, more than 400 municipalities. We have different streams of work. Underneath that, we also, for the systems portfolio, we call it strictly for deep demonstrators, where we actually then go with working municipalities directly. So this case, it's not the first line of engagement is of course through the UNDP country office coordinators, but actual team is actually then managed by this municipality itself. And I saw that we have Irakli and also we have Oleg from Georgia and Moldova today from the portfolio team joining us. So it's great that to see them here. So actually we have worked directly with the municipalities to think about how can we actually then develop city urban challenge portfolios with 10 cities. And there we actually have a specific kind of topic or theme where we try to address the moving away. So last topic on the urban talks was actually beyond growth. And this is actually then continuation of that. So how can we actually go beyond traditional economic measures of growth? So we actually then came up with urban makeover kind of framework where we look into not only economic opportunities, but we also look into how can we actually enable vibrant community, which actually addresses quality of life and also innovative approaches, where is that we argue that it's not enough to actually just build economic opportunities or vibrant community. We also have to embed innovative approaches or capabilities in the city so that the city can evolve itself over time. So as you can see, for the case of Mayors for Economic Growth, we have 10 cities in the portfolio. Again, very diverse topics that we address. We have actually Tiko from today, where she will explain or she will discuss about the experience in Georgia, in Batumi and Kutaisi. In this case of portfolio journey, we had 3 years of engagement and total up to $250,000 of the portfolio seed funding and then scale funding for them to actually test out different approaches. I'll stop here because I was just meant to give you the brief intro of the innovative approaches for the systems urban portfolio. Please feel free to share any questions or also comments. I'll pass it again to Elina.
Great. Thanks so much, Yara, for this overview. Maybe I will do one quick follow-up, Yara, if you allow, before we move on to the city cases. Now we can hear that, okay, donors are getting interested in this approach. We have 2 major donors funding this type of approach, applying them directly with cities. We have 15 cities implementing them on the ground. And this approach is reflecting really the real world context, right? That we need to be able to adapt, respond to the changes, to also connect their challenges and not just have a siloed sectoral approach. What about organizational structures? Do you think they are ready for this type of approach, which is pushing a bit of a limits of sectoral departments and approaches? What is your experiencing after testing this with 15 cities?
It's a very interesting question. And I'm assuming everyone wants really honest answer. So my answer will be the organizational structure. Very honest answer would be, I don't think any of the organization is ready for this. At the same time, what we have seen, the investment of the 4 years that we have developed with the municipalities, we are seeing the differences. We're seeing the changes now, because although in the beginning we all went in to this process or in this implementation, knowing that organization may not be ready for this, but going through this process together, we have seen the mayor actually taking initiative to see how can we actually then look at the organizational structure differently, how can we actually build different governance structure, which we did not actually then even anticipated 3 years ago. I mean, Elina, you know also very well. So I think this, and also I think it's a little bit of, how do you call it? I think it's a little bit kind of too optimistic for us to assume that the organization will jump into the change within like 2 or 3 years. But with the type of investment and as the progress evolves, I think that it is a shifting towards to the change. But at the same time, I'm a bit worried that, you know, how long can we actually then hold hands together? Because as long as if there is an enabling environment for them to actually then encourage this change, it can continue. But I have seen that it takes at least a decade to actually really see the key differences in the organization. So yeah, I don't know if I answered your question in a way, but yes, that's how I'm seeing the changes right now. Yeah.
Great. Thank you, Yara. Yeah, it's definitely, this is a reflection. We don't always have all the answers. And I think acknowledging that urban transformation takes time, right? And that would also allow and enable organizations to start slowly changing their structures. It requires to both leaders and both also technical teams, curious people to also be able to change and evolve their organizational structures, which will be then more aligning and supportive of these type of new ways of doing urban and local development. So I think it's a good bridge towards hearing a bit stories from the ground. So let's fly to Georgia first to hear about two really interesting cases from Georgian cities. Tico will give us reflections and learnings from there before we go to Armenia. So Tico, floor is yours.
Thank you, Elina. Thank you, colleagues. I'm really happy to be here today and sharing experiences of our two leading portfolio cities. So I have been already introduced. So I won't take your time on that. I think I will continue what Yara started, just to share with you and directly go to Georgia's case. Sorry. Do you see the full screen?
Yes, yes.
Yes. So when we started new phase of M4EG, Mayors for Economic Growth in Georgia, I think it started, I was always thinking it started at a really good moment when the country adopted decentralization strategy and local authorities felt to be encouraged to explore new ways for governance, for economic growth, etc. So, and it's really important when we are talking about portfolio co-design approach, and I have it in my points about what we have learned, that contextualizing and localizing of this approach in the existing environment is really important, and knowing this environment very well and identify the entry points was important at the same time. So as I said, local authorities were in the process of exploring their new roles, even because, and I'm sure many of you can relate to that with their countries, that in our case, local authorities, although they are local self-governments, have not enjoyed sufficient powers, to really take care of local problems. So, and their mandate still is, but was more a couple of years ago, rather limited. And even though they want to, solve many more problems than they are actually doing and are able to address, their capacity was kind of limited with also resources they had and limited budgets, but also capacities, and also doing things in a different way. It was usually, infrastructure, it was the social programs they were doing, and these were kind of not interconnected things they were like working on. So, and when our colleagues from Istanbul Regional Hub first started to explaining to us, to UNDP colleagues as well in the country offices, so that was quite new for us, because and we have learned together with the cities, and I think we were growing up together in this whole context and concept of portfolios. So, as I said, it was really important, and as you know, Mayors for Economic Growth is a network of local authorities. So, in Georgia, all municipalities are part of this network. So, therefore, when we are talking about two cities, I want to mention that they have been identified through the competitive process. So, we basically opened call for interest, and almost 40 municipalities out of 64 have expressed their interest. And for us to select these particular two cities was important to see the commitment from the city and their leadership, and also to see the interest, to see that they are understanding the challenges of municipality and have done already their homework on that, and have a very good grasp of challenges and issues they are dealing with, and also the available resources. And here also I mean human resources. So it was really like for us, for our team, really good result when we had two leading cities as our portfolio cities identified. After Tbilisi, the capital of Georgia, so Kutaisi and Batumi are the major cities, as many of you know. And so we started working with them. And I won't mention the whole process, what Yera already presented to you. And it was really important to again really understand really well what was city facing. So in case of Batumi, we had a couple of major challenges, and that was the period after even COVID was not over. So it was the really fresh COVID period, and when we were struggling, all of us individually, institutionally, and municipality level and country level too, with the challenges what COVID brought. For Batumi, it was an undiversified economic sector. So which means that as you know, it's a main tourist destination, and it's also a seaport, very important in the region. And we have, there is also a maritime transport and logistic hub, and also a construction sector really booming. And also what is more important, very diverse multicultural community. And but nevertheless, they had these challenges that during COVID, they found themselves reliant on tourism sector and industry. And when it hit the tourism industry first, the COVID and pandemic, so I think many of the citizens have found themselves really lost in this situation. So the city acknowledged that, and they knew that they must do something, because only tourism and construction cannot prevent the population, and particularly losing young talents, who were leaving the city. And it could be surprising, because Batumi is really nice. Whoever was there so can really agree on that. But still, the young people are going out, going somewhere to capital or abroad for better career prospects or employment. So therefore, to like tackle all these issues and going through all the stages of community listening and engaging key stakeholders in the process and having all this analyzed. So the portfolio thematic scope was formulated in the following way: that the city decided to develop startup ecosystem in the city together with its key partner, and I will talk about it a bit later, the tech park in Batumi, which was really important partner throughout the process. And this portfolio aimed to have a 4 system-wide effects, and to first of all diversify and broaden Batumi talent pool, then contribute to renewed urban identity and rethink, like reimagine Batumi as a startup ecosystem and not only a city where we all love to go and visit. Also cultivate interest and develop startup savviness, so encourage culture of innovative entrepreneurship, and also most importantly enable the city hall to be a supporter of the startup ecosystem. So, and here we have the portfolio for those who are like familiar with the portfolio approach. So this is the how it looks when you work on when you try to address complex challenge and you work on so many domains and you work on so many directions. So in Batumi case, it was like I will go really briefly, and then if there will be questions, so I will be happy to respond. So what we did, we started to analyze the narratives, so the local narratives, to then be able to shift those narratives and more prepare the ground for ecosystem development. We also identified that entrepreneurship education needs to be enhanced, and now none of the high education institutions in Batumi are addressing this. So it's really important that not only like informal education is addressing this issue, but also higher education and formal education institutions. City Hall as an ecosystem enabler, and we understood as ourselves, we're UNDP team, but also city portfolio team and city as such. So they it was acknowledged by them that they did not have sufficient capabilities, because it requires like knowledge and experience to know how to build ecosystem actually. So this was something really new for all of us. And then, of course, different kinds of services city could provide to ecosystem players to enhance and strengthen their participation and their role in the whole portfolio process. What I want to say is that this is not a common thing when municipalities working on startup ecosystem development. And I have to admit that both cities took a very ambitious direction and goal, and it was also for us really important that the city got really committed to it, and then we slowly started this implementation process, and dynamic management was key here because, as we've mentioned many times, so municipality is a system which is changing constantly, and you need to feel like the whole system and know where it goes and bring all the important people. So eventually, just a couple of things I want to emphasize. So at the moment, if like these are not the final results, of course, and impact will come a bit later because we started it's a like 2 years process for now. But we already have a very quite vibrant local startup community, and interest towards startups is growing, and partners are also interested in Batumi as a startup ecosystem. And here you see pictures from various events and showing young people really interested in the innovations and how to make, how to actually solve problems using new technologies and what they can do for their city, or maybe they have a great idea with a scalability potential. And they are hosting already, this was the third time, people from Silicon Valley. They are organizing also first time in Batumi startup World Cup national competition, which attracts a lot of people from this industry. So there is a lot going on, and we have this, sense of progress, what we are witnessing. For instance, this year, that was the first time when a local startup from Batumi took part in the Startup World Cup competition, national competition. So this person was one of the 7 finalists. So for the city and ecosystem, that was a great achievement. So I will move to Kutaisi, which also had another really ambitious intent in mind, and this is to turn Kutaisi into eco-smart city. So, and a couple of points about Kutaisi. Kutaisi is one of the really oldest city with a big history, and it's a cultural center. It's a center of many things, for Georgia. It's located in the heart of Georgia. And it's really has a vibrant community, but it also faced a lot of problems, and such as declining economy, also like tourism sector also struggling with post-COVID period. And then together with that, with the previous industrial role they had during Soviet time, they also struggled with some environmental issues, air pollution, etc. So, and again here, that was really important to note that when we started working with Kutaisi, they have already developed a master plan for city. And in the city, the master plan, they identified 4 key objectives. And 2 of them were about making the city green, and another was about really investing in knowledge and talent development. And because they are, as many cities and the country as well, they are also facing the population. And if you look at the statistics, so it's really heartbreaking to see how the population in Kutaisi is declining. And then we started working with Kutaisi team, as I said. And here I will mention also the setting for, in case of both cities, so how the portfolio team was formed. So in Kutaisi, it was really diverse team composed by representatives of different departments, and the mayor, as their leader in this endeavor, because he was really, as I said, committed and engaged. In the case of Batumi, there was a department for municipal policy development. So, and there was a team of this department which took over portfolio co-design process. So it's also important, the setup, it's important to see what was the setup in municipalities. And there are certainly pros and cons, and how is better to, manage the co-design process and also implementation process, but it also depends on the local context, and there is no recipe like what would be the best solution for particular city. So, as you know, EcoSmart is rather really ambitious concept, and then city narrowed down it to the 3 key pillars, which are energy efficiency, urban mobility, and waste management. So, and these are even also quite big areas to work and operate. So you would think now. So Kutaisi started to develop this identity. So this is, you see this brand of Kutaisi, of this eco-smart city. So they also, it was in this portfolio, it was really important to work on awareness raising of people, because you cannot build the eco-smart city without people with green behaviors and green attitudes, I would say. And here are some of the results, what we have. This project gave opportunity to the city to pilot, test, and learn some of the innovative solutions they were unable to do within their municipal budget or other programs. So, and that was really important to see whether some of the things work and to explore. So therefore, under these living labs, which we had in our portfolio, there were a couple of things tested. So here you see smart waste management containers with sensors, which are delivering signal to the service agency whenever the container is full. So these containers are are located in the city center, where also it's really vibrant places where many tourists come, and it also allows them to separate waste. So on the second picture, you see energy efficient building in Kutaisi. And here that was a municipal building and here again, it's not only doing something, but it's also about, exploring. And now city is analyzing whether these solar panels are working. So in the sense that, are they saving really energy? Are they would that be good to replicate on other public buildings or to promote this? So this is their process of experimentation. And then you see also promotion of green mobility by installing electric vehicle chargers in the city. And here you on the left lower corner, you see that there are some parking benefits for owners of electric vehicles. So that was adopted by the city council to promote this green mobility direction in the country, in the municipality. Yes, and here another really important issue is that when we talk about complex challenges, and sometimes we are really, exhausted by trying to solve things and not seeing results we want. And some even say that complex challenges are destined to be unsuccessful, because it goes beyond one institution, it goes beyond one city or municipality. So mandates are limited, budget is limited, and all these things. And this is true, but it's really important when dealing with complex challenges that you deal with mindset change, you deal with awareness raising and behavioral change among community members, you deal with getting new technical knowledge and know-how, you share experiences with other peers and learn from your colleagues, maybe from other municipalities, and about skills development. So here under Kutaisi portfolio, there was this academy for applied eco-innovations created, which enabled young people to work on city eco-challenges they have, and to try to come up with solutions, and basically to also think about that more in their when thinking about innovations and other learning they are doing. But just to finalize now, what was important, if others are also in the process of applying this, I think for us, at least in case of Georgia, that was important to manage expectations, because when we started working with municipalities, so it was really important to for them to understand the stance of this process and how they could benefit. And it was really important to align with local policies and national policies to see, where is it going and to what it's contributing. It was also important to, explain what they can expect from this process. And that is a long-term process. And even though we tried to, celebrate some quick wins and, achievements and milestones in this process. So there is a long way to, really achieve smart city in Kutaisi, for instance, and in Batumi develop a self-sustained ecosystem of startups. So another was this understanding the value of this process. And when we talked about system thinking in the beginning, so our teams were not, I think, ready to fully understand that as ourselves from the UNDP team. So I think we all now understand better the process, how to connect dots, and then the magic happens when you do that, and how to feel the whole municipality as a system. So, and it was also, it opened many opportunities to new partnerships and networks. I mentioned that in our municipal portfolio teams, there were not only municipal representatives. For instance, in Kutaisi, one of local NGO representatives was engaged with respective expertise in the field. In Batumi, the city engaged the local Batumi Tech Park, so which was promoting already innovative entrepreneurship. So, of course, we had also challenges, and that very briefly was like time, translation, lack of flexibility from the team side, also managing motivation sometimes, when you have in all processes ups and downs, but it's a active process of co-creating something, so it's natural. So here I put together some of the things like key learnings, and just to briefly summarize. So context matters, managing expectations matters, team design is really important, and how it is dynamically also evolving and bringing new people, and languages was a really key challenge. And here I would suggest to pay attention to that when it comes to the new terms especially, and also splitting the process into milestones to celebrate some of the achievements already from the very beginning. So this was all from my side. Thank you very much, and I hope you enjoyed. I will share in the chat 2 blogs about Batumi and Kutaisi processes, and if you have an interest, please visit the UNDP website and have a look. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Tico. Thank you for sharing the experiences from Batumi and Kutaisi. These cities are really pioneering cities in applying this approach in Georgia. We have seen really interesting progress there, also very much committed leadership, technical teams, and how they also build partnerships in their cities. It's really great to see that. We have a first question in the chat, and I think, Tika, this could be for you as well, because you have experience also doing local development earlier before applying the portfolio approach with cities. So the question is about how is this portfolio approach different from the integrated local development approach that UNDP has been applied before? Any reflections from your side on that?
Thanks for this question. And I think that we also were, at different stages of our portfolio work, have been thinking about this, like how it is different. And of course, some of the things may look similar because, even people ask, but this is a traditional project. So to me, I think I saw this portfolio design bringing more opportunities, going beyond the limits, I would say, because when we talk about some development work, so there always we stayed within local authorities' mandate. So at least I'm talking about Georgia. So I know I cannot obviously talk about other experiences of integrated territorial development and economic development. So that was, to me, very good. And as a person who promotes decentralization and strong local authorities as a key key environment for actual development at the local level. So it was other approaches did not give us the liberty, I would say, to even think beyond existing, institutional policy, legislative setups. And here, I think we change a bit a dimension of thinking about the solution of complex challenges. So this was, I think, different to me in this process. So I really appreciate that. Another important point. So it's really that the key was to invest in people, in this process. So, and even if the situation changes, the people with whom we worked on the ground on this co-design process was a absolutely amazing. So how they also grew and developed, evolved, and I don't know what to say. And when we think about how to continue this work, it's important to invest in these people.
Absolutely. And I think the aspect of also the experimentation, acknowledging the uncertainties in the city context, thinking about how can we go into area where we don't know everything. This approach is really enabling that experimentation and testing and adaptive and dynamic management, which is quite new in many of the strategies and other programs where they are more strict and static. So thanks so much for that first question. Thank you Tico for the reflections. We will come back to you also during the Q&A. And I would really encourage also others to share any reflections and comments in the chat. We would love to hear from you more. So while you're listening to Nelly from Armenia, please also share your experiences. We have also other country offices and cities here in the room who are part of the City Experiment Fund and Mayors for Economic Growth. So please share also your experiences, and maybe you have some reflections also for this first questions that we got. So Nelly, over to you.
Thank you, Elena, and thank you, colleagues, for this opportunity. And also, thank you, Tico. It was really interesting to deep dive into the cities of Georgia, who have also been into the portfolio journey, and I've already identified some synergies and potential cooperation options that we can kind of network the cities for knowledge sharing and other aspects of cooperation. So today I will talk about the portfolio journey we had in the framework and with the support of Slovak Transformation Fund with our IRH colleagues. We have started our journey with Stepanovan back in 2021. And for you to know, Stepanovan is very green, as you can see from the picture, and cozy small city in the north of Armenia. It's smaller than Batumi and Kutaisi, and it is also facing the same challenges. As you saw with the case of the Batumi, they are facing the problem of depopulation. In Stepanovan, I think it is the core challenge that we have been trying to address collectively. Stepanovan is not, let's say, yet spoiled with all of the problems our modern day big cities are facing. That's overcrowding, pollution, noise pollution, etc. And for a person living in a big city, I think it's an ideal place just to go and have a peace of mind. So that's why it was the momentum for us at the development organization to try to support the city to pave its way towards sustainable development. not to like start its development and go with the traditional way our other big cities went in Armenia, and I'm sure in the region as well. So in 2021, when we approached to Stepanavan and asked about their problem, they said that depopulation and youth migration. And being a small city, the municipality was claiming that it seems that they are losing their future because the young people are leaving, and it's still a small city, and this is the core challenge they would like to address. But interestingly, they hadn't assumed reasons behind this challenge, saying that we know why young people are leaving, and that this is the limited employment opportunities and lack of high-paid jobs in the city. But as we have started with the experimentation with the portfolio approach, luckily, we said, let's go and ask the city, ask young people, maybe there are other reasons behind, maybe we are not framing the problem in the right way, etc. So we have kind of said, let's go and listen to Stepanavan. We started with the community listening, where we conducted deep interviews with citizens. These interviews look like more of a conversations that go deeper into the deeper aspects of the problems we're discussing, other dynamics of the city. We accompanied it with ethnographic observation, which was the most interesting part, because we have been coding the emotions of the respondents and then trying to give the weight to their answers. Then we have conducted sense-making sessions to validate what we have listened. And then we understood that to be able to intervene within the system and drive the system transformation, we need also to understand what the residents of the city want for their future. So we've also conducted the urban foresight exercise. As a result, we have created collective personas of Stepanavansis with their problems, with their vision, and with their everyday life and dynamics. And I would like to bring a very short example of one persona who is Vahed, the name is not real, a 20-year-old, and he said that he wants to leave the city. But the reason behind, he said, it's that's not the job, because with the post-COVID reality, there are many opportunities to engage in remote employment. The reason is that there is no place to hang out in the city. There is no place to have fun, to be exposed to entertainment, etc. So okay, so we have started to see the hidden narratives. Another hidden and meta-narrative was that people are not being engaged in employment also because of social support packages, some cultural traits, etc. So lots of reasons that haven't been thought of by the city actors already were found out. And this created the co-creation grounds for us. And when I'm saying us, here the difference with the M4G is that UNDP has been leading the process. But we have been doing all of this together with the key actors of the community of Stepanavan, the municipality, the NGOs, the active groups, also private sector. So let's say with the facilitation of UNDP, all of these actors came together and started co-designing the portfolio of Stepanavan transformation. And as you can see, everything in this image is interrelated. Everything is kind of complicated, as it is the system of the city. So we have come to conclusion that what the Stepanavan wants is to bring back vibrancy to the city. And by saying vibrancy, it doesn't mean that it wants to become a big regional city, a hub, but it wants to have opportunities together by keeping the coloring of the city. I will bring a very quick example of one of these aspects. You can see here how we're moving with several iterations with the portfolio. So one of the positions, strategic directions, was bringing learning into the Stepanavan for the youth. Another one was bringing the fun. And so we have experimented with different options, supporting the public library with the seed funding, to conduct non-formal educational activities, career orientation sessions, and then organization of festivals, movie debate clubs, etc. We have collected learnings from it. And then based on these learnings, it was decided by the city actors to scale up and continue with this option. So it became digital and learning hub, which has come into reality by facilitated partnerships and by the, here the key example is that these facilitated partners together were able to mobilize additional funding to make this come true. Also, we had the scale up of this Luis Youth Center during the second iteration of the portfolio. This center has come together based on the learnings of the first iteration by the young people. The young people together fostered the establishment of this center, again with a very small seed funding for us. And now we continue as well with the learnings from this operational, let's say, intervention, and then coming back to the positions and to the intent, making changes and deciding how to move forward based on the learnings. Anything tangible, of course, with the portfolio approach, you need to be patient because the real system change comes not earlier, but you are having really like early signals and achievements as a result of the intervention. The important thing I would like to highlight is that we have managed together with the city to institutionalize the culture of learning, collaboration, and dynamic management. So how we did it? We tailored the portfolio approach to the existing regulations, policies, and standard operational mode of the municipality. And we have integrated it into their standard procedures. Another achievement is that we kind of foster strengthened partnerships who were able together to mobilize, finalize, and human resources to contribute to the implementation of the living strategy of Stepanavan, that is actually the portfolio turned into the strategy. We had this digital and learning hub that provides lifelong learning plus remote learning opportunities for the jobs for the youth. We had this youth center, which brings fun plus learning plus networking for the local youth. And the young people already are self-sustainable in terms of keeping the center because they're running a crowdfunding campaign and supporting the activities of the center. Art residency, which had a multiplier effect not expected and not designed by us, creation of an art cafe in the museum that will bring additional finances to the museum and enrich the entertainment life of the city. So as you can see, lots of interrelated, mutually combining achievement positions and interventions. So I would say what's the achievement that we can claim of now is that leaving the city is not the only option anymore for the local youth, and moving to the city has become an option. As of now, 8 youngsters are engaged in remote employment who have been part of our interventions, and 38 people relocated to Stepanavan from other cities. And for you to understand the numbers, Stepanavan is having 14,000 residents, so it's really very small city. Coming to the lessons learned, I think I want also to share my personal approach. I loved the approach because it really gives you the feeling that you are doing the right thing because you're always testing and learning and changing and being able to adapt to the reality and see your change on the ground. So what's important, understanding city dynamics is key really to system change. So you need to understand how the system, the city is moving to be able to trigger the change. And for it, early and continuous stakeholder engagement is really very important because here you are reducing the risks and also achieving co-ownership of what you are creating. Human-centered design, building trust, and trying to align the motivations of the key actors helps to overcome resistance towards innovation, because especially in the small cities, and I'm sure also in many organizations, there is always resistance to change. And to sum up, it helps to turn failure into lessons learned, because as humans, we do not like to fail, and we do not like also to speak about the failure. So with this approach, you are reducing your chances of a big failure, just doing small experiments, learnings, and increasing the opportunity to have more effective interventions with sustainable outcomes. I think this is all. Thank you very much. I'm open to questions. I will also put resources on the chat and also my contacts. So if you have any questions, please go ahead. Thank you.
Great. Thanks so much, Nelly, for sharing the experiences from Armenia and Stepanavan. I think Stepanovan is one great example of really starting to integrate this into their city structures. And as you said, you really try to see how this can be aligned and embedded into their standard operations. Maybe as a follow-up into that, that doesn't really sound like an easy thing to do. How did that happen? What were the experiences? Maybe some of the challenges also from that process of integrating this into their city structure.
Thank you, Elina. Yes, it is, I think, the most challenging part. That's why we're moving with that for these 3 years. It's taking even longer than expected. The main challenge is that the municipality procedures are more linear, like they are bureaucratic constructs, national governments, local governments, with the long procurement processes, etc. So this quick iterative development, etc., is really difficult to understand how you can tailor it. So first of all, I think the key factor for starting this process is having the buy-in of the senior leadership. Because you need the senior leadership to be engaged and together with you try to find the ways to do it. So in case of the Stepanovan, together with the mayor, and credit to the team also of the Stepanovan, who I see they've joined also today, we have together started to work on turning this into the living strategy, trying to adapt it to the regulations, maybe like put out some of the parts that we would like to keep, but we need to adapt to the regulations. And the team and the mayor also understood that if we do not do this now, we will lose what we have achieved so far, because there won't be an ownership of the process, of the portfolio approach, etc. So I think the key factor is the buy-in of the mayor and also dedicated team. So you are able to do it together with the team.
Great. Thanks so much for that. And if there is anybody from Stepanovan or Kutaisi or Batumi, feel free to also raise your hand. We can open your mics and we can also have your reflections in the session. So feel free to share your experiences from these journeys that you have taken. And of course, I want to congratulate all of the cities and our country offices on taking this path. I can't see any other questions in the chat, but maybe I will have a few follow-up questions for all the panelists. We have heard about these journeys now happening in these 15 cities, and a lot of changes and transitions are happening on different levels of the cities. What do you think are the key success factors enabling this type of transition and transformation to happen in the cities when they apply this new approach? Any key factors that you see here and there on the ground enabling it? We have heard a bit about the leadership and some of the things, but anything else that you would like to emphasize?
I already did, but I really want to acknowledge the people who have been engaged, and their interest, their enthusiasm and motivation, and especially how they have like from the point of not knowing, what we were up to become professionals who have a very good understanding of the process and of the prospects of this process as well. So to me, that was really important. And I think this is the new generation of municipal staff members, who are more open-minded and who are really talented people. And I think this is what we need to, promote more and work with them. So.
Thank you. And I think creating that space for them to also get engaged in this type of new capability building for themselves that they can then apply in their space. It's not always given that there is that space when they are tackling daily issues, providing services for the citizens. So I think also acknowledging the time and the resources that are needed in the cities to make that happen, that municipal staff can really commit and make it happen. Anything else, Nelly, Yara?
I would like, I completely agree with Tico, and also I would like to add importance of early and continuous stakeholder engagement in the process, because as we go, we're always finding new people who are having motivations for the change, etc. And I think this process should be continued again and again to be able to have it as a process, not to have like, this is the list of stakeholders. No, the list of stakeholders is being updated continuously. And this is one of the key factors for success, I think.
Thank you. Yera?
There are so many things that I can comment on, but just building on, I think just like combining all of it. So what I've seen as the successful factor is actually of course, the dedicated leadership, good team, and also finding low-hanging fruits, not getting too caught up, because everyone wants to have a perfect model, but it's impossible. So just start something, build something, and then engage people as soon as possible. But one thing that I like to emphasize more and more, I think Tico and Nelly mentioned it again and again, which is actually creating that enabling space. I think Elina, you also mentioned that, like, I've seen many cases where a really good team was really not able to make a progress because the leadership was really not fully supportive, or vice versa. The leadership was dedicated, but the team was not. The whole environment did not allow them to think, or even what Nelly shared was very interesting, that we oftentimes, municipalities is high pressure, under the high pressure, that they cannot fail anything. So if we can actually then create an enabling environment where people can actually test out different things, and also create that space where different people can interact. And I've seen in Kutaisi and Batumi also, the team has been very dedicated to actually go beyond their actually additional how do you call it, responsibilities, to really create that enabling space. So I think it's really key success factor for portfolios to actually thrive in that sense.
Yeah, I think there is something really interesting about also when municipalities are taking a new role. I think, to be honest, both in Stepanovan, when a municipality taking a role in nurturing vibrancy of the city is not the most traditional role as such, or in Batumi, nurturing startup ecosystem is also a quite new role for a municipality, when often municipalities are tackling basic services, providing them for their citizens. How do you see this when municipalities are taking a new role? How did they react? How did the staff react? How did citizens also react in these cities when municipalities taking a stronger role and a different role in their cities?
Indeed, as I mentioned, so like having worked at the local level with authorities, so I see this progress. When we started, only looking at someone's department perspective, not even looking, across the other departments and the work municipality as a city hall, as an institution is doing. So, and now I think what was really interesting to see reactions of other municipalities. So first of all, that it's a quite a different stuff you are doing there, and how, and whether, and then they would say that no, these are Batumi and Kutaisi, two big cities, so they can. But then when they listened to how
I think Tika might have a bit of a connection issue. Let's wait a second if she comes back. Okay, the story will. Okay, are you back, Tika?
Yes, do you hear me? Yeah, just wanted to say that Poti, for instance, it got really excited about EcoSmart City portfolio, and now is interested to co-design one for their city. So I think it's a good example of how inspiring this work can be for others.
Absolutely, yeah. It's really great to hear that the other cities are looking towards them and learning from them, and then replicating some of these approaches also beyond our support. So there is that excitement and the value recognized of taking a new role, a new approach for local government. We can see also very nice comments, I think in Armenian in the chat, also praising and coming also from Stepanova, acknowledging that Stepanova experience should be an example for all communities. So it's really nice. Thank you for sharing. Any other thoughts on this new role and mandate in cities?
I can just bring a quick example of the cooperation of youth center with the municipality. So you do not always see like the young people interested in like supporting their municipality. They have other interests, yeah, there. So seeing the openness and engagement into this kind of affairs of the municipality, the youth center itself said that we want to support them by some technical things that we can support. We want to cooperate and to have closer contact with the municipality. I think this is this multiplier effect of municipality being open to this kind of change and supporting this kind of change.
Elina, I would like to add that because of the role different from traditional, many partners from even private sector got interested. So it's like even we were talking about the formulating the portfolio thematic scope and how important it was, not to to show the ambition of the city and its intent, right? So, and even that work, that catch that attract that people thought that this is really different from what municipalities are doing, and within the city halls, I think was the same process. That this is very interesting new angle of the work City Hall is doing.
Absolutely. And I think that there is also a comment from Emanuela on the chat about converging forces with other EU-funded projects, which are usually smaller projects, but often very hands-on. So I think also comparing these experiences, for example, that we have from our Mayors for Economic Growth project, which is our initiative, which is a EU-funded project, where a donor is also committed to take a different type of role for funding city development. And we are seeing also interest coming from other partners and donors on the ground. I think there are clear successes and results from this work, but also I think all of us learned in the process. And some of the things might still need tweaking or adding something to the process. If you're now thinking and you would do this again, or you could take this process to other municipalities and cities, what would you change? What would you add or focus more on in the future? What are the key learnings also in terms of the process for future for us to pay attention?
I can come in, Elina. The most important thing and the challenge that we have faced during the implementation is the lack of alternative and innovative finances and lack of the capacity to mobilize. Because in the process, we had several options and interventions that the municipality or other actors wanted to scale, but we do not have the finances for that. They do not have the finances for it. And we have understood, and now I know you're thinking about that, but to integrate this innovative financing and alternative financing mechanism creation early from the beginning. So whenever there is a potential for scale up, the municipality, the city is able to do it. And this is also an important muscle to strengthen among the local governments. Thank you.
Absolutely.
I would emphasize the I would bring more expertise in the process, because sometimes you don't get the this resource at the local or even national level. So, and I think because of this network of M4EG, and we had opportunities here and there to support municipality with this expertise, but I think they could benefit more. And then it's also important where it comes. There should be a right moment for that, when the city is ready. So when it starts to unpack its potential, then you need to really meet this new knowledge and expertise from others. It especially works well the good practices from other cities. So at the beginning, our cities, for instance, in Batumi, they had quite a few meetings with other municipalities who are also working on ecosystem development abroad somewhere, and they have already sufficient experience in that. So, and then now, for instance, when city is about to open a startup space offering new services for local community, so here they would, I think, benefit now at this very moment from other cities who have similar services for them. So, and this is how it should, I think, be accompanied by this kind of knowledge from others, and the practical knowledge especially.
Great aspect of keep also investing in people and their capabilities, absolutely, and the expertise that they get access to. Yara, any thoughts?
Many thoughts. And also, as we are preparing for the next phase for both Mayors for Economic Growth and Cities Experiment Fund, I think we're already taking a lot of lessons learned to actually then see how we can continuously learn, also evolve our methodology as well. One of the key lessons learned from me is actually how do we, it's actually my personal reflection, it's how to embed the learning more easily or more actionable, so that the municipalities can actually take it also forward in a timely manner. But it's also given that the structure of the process and structure of how we actually communicate or talk together, sometimes our processes does not allow us to actually then really reflect that. So how can we actually then create that space where, and also I've seen in cases, although we facilitate a lot of, we try to create that space where the portfolio team feels comfortable and safe to actually talk about these things. At the end of the day, we also function as a project. So it's something that we've seen in the dynamics of it. So how do we really create that space where municipality, UNDP, and the local actors really come together, really build that synergies together? It's something that I've seen some good cases, I've seen some bad cases at the same time. So it's how do we actually then create that really space and organizational structure as we discussed in the beginning. So yeah, so a few thoughts on that as well.
Great. And there is a good comment also from Stanislav, our colleague from Ukraine country office, also how the process is increasing the trust in the municipality. So, and attracting stakeholders to the city and leading to its development. So I think this trust factor is also very much embedded when you engage the communities. You're bringing the different role, you're bringing that a bit of face of the municipal staff towards their citizens through the participatory engagement processes as well, bringing them closer to the people, but also then engaging them, not just asking, but also then engaging in the processes throughout. A really important factor also to think about how does it work in different cultures as well. I think we don't have any other questions in the chat. Maybe just I think we can give everyone the last 5 minutes as a transition to anything else that you have. Next, just maybe acknowledging the importance of this approach for our programming that we do with cities, the way we want to support cities for the way forward. And I think things that we will definitely keep still emphasizing and developing as the practice is keeping develop further is the governance models that we mentioned quite many times today. How do we really make these as an integral part of the municipalities and cities management and governance structures and the financing models as well. This type of portfolio, which has several areas of work combined, also variety of different partners, allows us to pool funding and financing from different sources and different mechanisms. However, often funding programs are also quite siloed and strict. So there's less flexibility in financing these type of initiatives. So this is definitely one of the areas around looking into funding and financing models which align better with this type of integrated and portfolio way of working. And maybe the last one that we didn't talk so much, but which is also coming out because we want to share stories and experiences as well as the results and outcomes for long-term transformation is how do we monitoring and evaluate and capture the results? So a third area of work that we will really pay attention in the future as well. I would like to really thank a lot Sierra, Nelly, and Tico. Thank you so much for sharing your experiences. This is not the end of this journey. Both projects and initiatives are continuing, so hopefully we can come back and share more experiences. Also, of course, for Darini, Svetla, and colleagues for organizing, facilitating this, for all the questions and the audience. And of course, wishing you a very nice World Cities Day tomorrow as well. Darini, over to you for final.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. I think this was a fantastic way to outline how this approach has concrete effects. Everyone, you're going to receive the presentations. I think you all agree with me that they were very exhaustive and very well laid out. So the recording of this event is going to be available in Armenian, Georgian, and English. It's going to be sent to you by email, the link to it, and you're going to have a summary of the key points. And stay tuned for more urban talks to come. The next one is in 2 weeks, and it's going to be about transports. We're going to go to Kosovo, and we're going to talk about walkability in cities as well. You will receive an invitation to join, so please do. And thank you so much, everyone, for your engagement in this chat. I wish you a fantastic rest of the day, and I will see you soon. Bye, everyone.
Colleagues,
Thank you.
very much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.